After the sleeper hit success of Clerks, Kevin Smith and producer Scott Mosier started brainstorming the idea of a Clerks animated series. While Smith continued his directing career making films like Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma, the team kept shopping the series around until successfully selling it to ABC. On May 31st of 2000, the series debuted on ABC, but was canceled after the second episode aired the following week. The remaining episodes eventually were released on DVD and aired on Comedy Central, helping it develop a cult following. There's countless reasons why the show failed, but the most obvious reason tends to be that ABC decided to air the episodes out of order. We have assembled some of the biggest Kevin Smith fans at Geekscape, including Christian Bladt of Marvel Movie Talk, Dylan Lyles of Christmas 365, and myself, Matt Kelly, to create the definitive rankings of the 6 episodes that were produced. Before that, however, please subscribe for more videos like this. We have a Patreon where you can see the videos in advance and vote on topics. Additionally, you can support our network on our new merch store found at geekscape.dashery.com. Now to the rankings.
All right, boys, we are here, and it is time to try to figure out the rankings of these Clerks episodes. How about the two of you real quick in, let's say, 2 minutes or less, try to tell us a little bit about your love of this show, and then we can dive into our rankings.
Well, let me start because I was so excited for this show, and I was backpacking through Europe that summer. So I set my VCR for once a week to record it in that time slot. So all I knew is that when I came home, I got a couple of episodes, which we'll talk about, and then 4 reruns of the Drew Carey Show. So I was like, oh, all right, I guess this didn't go very well. I have a huge affinity for this show, and a little of it isn't necessarily even about the show itself, but just rewatching it, I loved it. When Kevin Smith had a secret stash here in Los Angeles, they did a signing for the 10th anniversary of Clerks, and I believe I was there for about 12 hours, and he did sign my DVDs at like 10:30 in the morning. So I had the DVD set for this signed, and I had forgotten how fun the signatures are, that I got my name in a cartoon balloon.
So definitely, as I mean, this is no shot to either of you, but the youngest member of this trio, born in 92. So when this show was airing, I was 8 and airing for the 2 weeks that it did. I didn't get introduced into the View Askew universe until probably should have been much later, but 2003, when I was 11 years old, and I saw on HBO a little movie called Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So it's funny being younger that I worked backwards in terms of the View Askew universe, and definitely understand that those earlier movies were a little bit better. It was funny because when I had seen it, I knew I wasn't supposed to be watching it, but I still wanted more. I still wanted more of that content. So I was trying to convince my parents in the best way I possibly could to let me continue to explore this world, and I ended up getting to watch Clerks because they didn't know much about it, but the one thing that definitely caught my attention was the 2-disc DVD of the Clerks animated series that I didn't know existed. But it is always funny to me that the first episode I saw of this was episode 6, was the last one, and it was on syndication on Comedy Central, and I was like, oh, Clerks is on, it's only 30 minutes long, this is weird. And then I turned it on and I was like, this is different, but I loved the stuff that they were doing with it. That's my history of the Clerks animated series.
The Clerks animated series was my entrance point into Kevin Smith. I had seen the Clerks trailer on like any Miramax VHS tape that I had, and I was like, I don't know what this is. It's black and white. It seems like a humor I don't understand because I was, in elementary school. Somehow it ended up on my TV, and back in the day, I would be on the computer, which was in the basement with the TV on, and this episode airs, and, I won't get into the details of the episodes just yet, but this episode airs, and I'm like, well, that was crazy. I'm definitely going to tune in next week. And I tuned in next week, and I go to a sleepover at a friend's house, and I'm like, dude, I just saw the craziest cartoon. We should rent Clerks. And like, we rented.
Oh, shit.
So we rented Clerks and watched it and then we're on IMDb's message boards and being like, there's 4 other movies tied to this franchise.
Hell
So
yeah.
we like rented all of them and had like a sleepover. It was me, him, and our other friend Tom, where we were like, we're gonna watch all 4 of these movies tonight. And like we did. We got pizzas and we just watched Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma. And then at the time, the Clerks the Animated Series website was advertising what was going to air that week. And then that episode just never happened. And the show was gone already. So all of that to say, let's start with these rankings. I know that I have 2 episodes that I feel strongly belong in the top of this list. And I have an episode that I maybe controversially think should be towards the bottom of this list. So I think the best way to do this, since there's only 3 of us, there's only 6 episodes, I just think any of us at any time can present our case for something. And the case that I want to present is that the worst episode of Clerks the Animated Series is the first episode. Leonardo returns, and Dante has an important decision to make.
In the first episode of the series, billionaire Leonardo returns to Leonardo, New Jersey, and opens a Quicker Stop across from the Quick Stop, which takes away Dante and Randall's customers, and nearly puts the Quick Stop out of business. Can the duo save the store?
100%.
I would agree. I don't want to get anybody wrong. This episode still has some of the greatest quotes in the entire series.
Yes.
We were talking about it before we went on air. Like, that looks like a bong. That looks like a big bong too.
Yeah.
Like, and the setups for later jokes.
That's the
why
thing.
are we walking like this?
I think that the biggest problem with episode 1 is after the first time you've watched it, any other time, you're just waiting to get to a different episode where all of these jokes are better framed.
Yes.
Like,
Agreed.
but you do get some great stuff here, right? You get the introduction of Alec Baldwin's character, Leonardo, who is such a goofy Saturday morning cartoon villain character. Like, and it really firmly establishes like this is not the Clerks movie. Like,
Yeah. And I'm surprised we did not get any later Baldwin involved with Smith
yeah.
at all, really.
That's a great point. So my thoughts on the first one is clearly it's the first one because they, yes, there's only 6. They figure things out much better. But of course, there are some great things in there. I love that multiple episodes lean on the Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer
Yes.
on UPN, which was an amazing comedy about being Abraham Lincoln's butler. I think it was Shy McBride played Desmond Pfeiffer, and I know Dan Florek from SVU played Abraham Lincoln. This is a fascinating show. What you want to do a special episode on something, Matt? Let's find all the episodes of the Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. By the way, that's the joke: is that it's Pfeiffer.
I was legitimately floored by how long that show lasted. When I looked into it, I was like, all right. I thought the fact that show lasted longer than Clerks the Animated Series is shocking.
I thought it was a bit.
No, it's a real show. I thought
this was a made-up show.
Nope, real show.
But I think that you're right. It is great when you watch the 6 of them in order. Okay, here's how the story is told. So I'm not overly critical about ABC deciding to not start with this one. I do think that they made a tremendous mistake in starting with episode 2 that had flashbacks to episode 1.
Yeah.
We'll get to it, but the other episode that they aired is what I would say is the best. So if people know which one that is, then good for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let either one of you throw out what you think should be number 5 on this list, though, since we seem to be all in agreement on number 6.
The Outbreak episode isn't my favorite.
The third episode of the series finds the titular clerks caught up in a parody of Outbreak when a pet shop owned by Patrick Swayze opens up next door.
I am all right with that, actually.
Cool.
Because I do think that there's like some jokes that just don't work in that episode.
Yeah.
Like the Gilbert Godfrey being the voice of Patrick Swayze stuff
just doesn't hit for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And that's one of those, you have to have already watched and seen Gilbert Gottfried as Jerry Seinfeld, and I think he's someone else too. So then it's like, all right, well, he's going to do all our celebrity voices, which are like, as a bit, that's great. But if you watch this episode in a bubble, you're like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
didn't have a Gilbert Godfrey, or he didn't. Sorry, he is Gilbert Godfrey. He didn't have a Patrick Swayze. He has a great, arguably one of the best Seinfeld impressions in the biz, and then his Patrick Swayze is just Gilbert Godfrey's voice.
And his Andrew Dice Clay is next level, but
Yeah.
never would have been able to be done on broadcast television, even in
Yeah,
the year
no.
2000. But
Yeah.
yes,
Compared to some of the other ones where I feel like there's a lot more substance, this episode feels very one note. Like it's the Patrick Swayze Gilbert Godfrey thing, and then it's Outbreak.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's all that we have going on. There's still some good bits. I do enjoy the fast food being the final thing that they want in their life before they die, and they just can't get the ketchup. Like that just made me chuckle a lot.
It's a good bit. It's got its moments for sure, but I am totally all right with this sitting in the number 5 position.
Perfect.
And that means that we have to throw it over to Christian for his opinions on this episode, and I'll say you'll be the next one to determine what goes where.
Okay, so I would say that I think we're in agreement on this one. There are still some great things in here. It is the episode that introduces Lando, and I think that they do that really well.
Yeah.
Shout out to James Woods, the actual James Woods. Al Franken as Mayor McCheese is not something I remembered. So I was
see,
like,
that's the only thing I ever remember about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't remember that Al Franken's the voice. The bit that I mean, you know this bit because you've quoted it so many times. Nothing can kill the Grimace.
Yeah, I very often talk about how nothing can kill the Grimace. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny. I do love the fan mail in the beginning of the episode. The first is from Jen Schwalbach, who is, of course, Kevin's wife. And then the second is such an inside thing for SNL nerds. It's from Mr. Richard Fader from Fort Lee, New Jersey, which Rosanna Dana in the original SNL, she would go on Weekend Update and she'd read a letter, and they were always from Mr. Richard Fader from Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
yeah, I was like, I wonder if these guys are going to realize why that's funny.
No clue on that one.
And that's what I love about shows, like this. South Park does it really well. I think nobody does it better than Mystery Science Theater 3000. There'll be jokes where you're like, is that joke just for me?
Yeah.
Like, I think that this is great. And it's not, it has to be ranked where it is.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first
final
time we get
four is incredibly more difficult. I feel like these are the 2 easy ones.
Yeah. I think this is the first time we get Bryan Cranston in an episode. He's the helicopter pilot.
Yes.
And all of the episodes at least have stuff that I like. If you want me to rank the next one, it does have maybe my favorite joke of the series, episode 5.
In the 5th episode of the series, Dante inherits a softball team while Randall finds himself trapped in an Indiana Jones parody.
Just rewatching it, I wrote in my notes, good Lord, the class of 1980.
Yeah.
Where
graduation
in space. And then and I'm like, I remember watching it the first time. I'm like, oh no. And look, I get it. It's very funny. And I mean, we can talk about the show as a whole in the envelopes they push that you would not be able to push today. But I mean, that's just like so in line with, talking about shows like South Park and even Family Guy. It's so wrong that you're like, all right, that's pretty funny that they took that swing. But I think it really goes off the rails, and it's really reminiscent of, I would say, like early 2000 Simpsons, where you're like, what in the hell is this episode even about? Like, it starts about something, and then it gets too far. Randall's, building the pyramid, and Dante's the coach of a Little League baseball team, and these all come together. The insinuation that Leonardo keeps waking up at men's homes and is willing to give them $1 million to not talk about it is very funny.
Yeah.
I think that there's a ton of funny stuff in here, but it's like we have to put them in some order, and it does have the Force ghosts from the end of the original Return of the Jedi, and I was like, I wonder if Kevin Smith can go in and put an animated Hayden Christensen and replace the old Anakin in there. And I'm sorry,
but they'll replace Charles Barkley with Hayden instead.
Yeah, no,
Barkley's such a great part of this show.
Dude,
it
so
makes
good.
No sense why he's there in every episode, but I love that he's there in every episode. It is just like idea stacked on idea, stacked on idea, stacked on idea, and yeah, it's a little clunky at times. I'm going to suggest what goes at number 3. I think that this and what I'm putting at number 3 could alternate on my list on any given day. And look, I know people love this episode a lot and probably think it should be number 1. At number 3, I'm going to put the clip show wherein Dante and Randall are locked in a freezer and remember some great moments of their lives.
The second episode of Clerks the Animated Series is a flashback episode to the first episode, as well as episodes that had not happened yet.
It's got some big moments. It's a lot of episode 1. It makes the jokes in episode 1 much funnier second time around. There's some really great stuff, including an extremely dark parody of Schindler's List with the Flintstones.
We also get, my name's Dante, and I'm the biggest idiot ever.
Yeah, there's some really great jokes in this episode. It's strictly this is a great episode, but there are 2 episodes that I think are even greater than this. But I'm not sure if either of you disagree on that.
No, I would agree on that. The clip episode again is
a hilarious bit.
It's a hilarious episode. Nothing can top the final 2, which has probably the most quotable lines from the entire series.
From any of them.
Sure.
Well, and the other thing with this episode is that I think it set the template. Now we see this a lot, right? Like the clip show is kind of gone from television now that we have like 10 episode runs as opposed to 22 episode runs of stuff. But, like after this, you get like Community doing clip shows of things that never happened in the show and stuff like that. But I feel like this was one of the first of its kind where it's like, it's a combination of a clip show of only the first episode because it's the second episode and a bunch of new content that we didn't see because it's only the second episode. Like it is kind of groundbreaking in clip show parody.
It's got some obviously some great stuff, but I think it was a tremendously poor decision on ABC's part to start with this one. I think it only works.
It's the second episode they aired, but they aired it before the first episode ever happened. I'm looking at the release dates.
This one did air second. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought this one aired first, but okay, so it is the second episode, but it only works if you've already just shown and a week earlier, the second one. All right, so they actually did everything right in terms of the one that they chose to start with. They did put the best foot forward, but I mean, this has there were some notes that I took. The repeated visits to the burn ward was funny. I think that this one, I do like that it ends with the Stand By Me narration, though.
Yeah,
that was fun and fitting that it's the final episode to air on ABC. That it kind of has that ending, and it does have the rainy day fun with Jay and Silent Bob, the 2 kids, and the girls like, let's make a movie. Take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off.
I mean, it's so funny because you're like, oh, this is incredibly wrong, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this aired at 8:30 Eastern time.
It's prime
time. This isn't 9:30, which what's the difference? So that means 7:30 Central. This is on television.
Insane.
And it's crazy. Yeah. But I agree with your placement for this.
Right. Well, then
I mean, nothing really puts a microscope on the audience it was going for than the porno mag. It's Frozen.
Yeah,
that's a great point. Yeah. One of the most memorable things in the whole series. Is that.
So good. So
all right,
good.
Dylan, you get to place number 2 and kind of finally decide the. I think we're all in agreement on this, though, based on some things Christian said.
I don't. See, I don't know. Because I know for a fact it's not your guys' favorite episode. Let me talk about my favorite episode now, and we can put it at number 2.
Yeah.
Because listen.
The last
if you were to ask me what are some of your favorite episodes of cartoon television, even the one we ranked worst would be on that list for me. Like I really love this show. I think we all do. So that's my favorite episode. I don't mind that it is at number 2.
In the final episode of Clerks the Animated Series, the boys find themselves trapped in the Quick Stop all day while tons of excitement is happening in the carnival across the street.
I absolutely adore the idea of we're going to make this just like the movie. And then the entire episode is the most unhinged shit and references to other stuff. Like we literally start with him in a Matrix parody of him being like introduced to the real world while pulling the thing out and then being sprayed into Dante. And then Randall's just like, how you doing? And he's like,
yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
go about our day.
Well, I think the biggest joke that I love about this episode, and it's why, like I said, this episode and the episode we're putting at number 1
Is it Caitlin Bree?
are
That
both
they
no.
keep bringing Caitlin Bree back?
I mean, I do love that. They were obviously making this before it aired, but it was almost like they knew what people were going to complain about, and were like writing the fuck you to the criticisms that they were prepared for, because it's like, okay, we're going to do this exactly like the movie, but there's going to be so much more interesting things happening outside of this store that these characters cannot witness or be a part of.
Yeah.
And like the bit of like Jay running in, and it's just
so
like
good.
escalating craziness that's happening outside that they're not getting to witness is
And she's
so
making out with
funny.
everybody whose name starts with the letter J.
Yeah.
Now she's thrown the whole naming convention out. She's making out with everybody. Oh me, oh my, oh wham.
Yeah.
She's making out with the Ferris wheel.
Like, it's
so good.
And it's the most Dante thing that he's like, oh, a kissing booth for charity? Well, yeah, only there's no booth and it's not for charity.
It is not for charity.
And it's more than just kissing.
Yeah.
She's
Right,
totally cheating on
Yeah,
you.
when he like comes rolling in doing backflips while holding a bunch of bloody body parts that he found on the soccer.
And we found these on the soccer team's bus.
Like it is, and then you get. I mean, I absolutely adore, and Christian, knowing your sensibilities, I think that you're in the same boat here. Ending it on like an extended Duck Amuck parody is just, it's perfection, because that is like legitimately this cartoon is ending with a parody of one of the greatest animated segments of anything ever. Like it's
Yeah, and what you guys are saying is true. I don't know if you guys have taken the time to ever in the 25 years watch the commentary, but I have. Yeah, and it's like it's also in response to all the notes they got. And there's like a guy who hated the show so much, and he's like, "Oh, so he's drawing the cartoon, is he?" You know, like they literally shit on that ending because it's like, you know. So I even not rewatching it, like I'm sure I haven't watched the commentary in 20 years, but as I'm watching the episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember these things that they talk about. So I think it's fun. I also love that we get Mark McKinney and Kevin McDonald from The Kids in the Hall as the two pinheads who come in. And I think Julia Sweeney from SNL is the voice of Caitlin Bree because she talks once.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. Obviously, cartoon Bill Clinton is fun. It is really funny just how often in this 6-episode run the jokes are, you guys aren't gay, are you? And there's like, and Jay's like, this is like the gayest thing ever, but like, look how much fun he's having. Look, again, this is my second favorite one. So this one's great. And I think that I can see, you look at this episode and they're like, oh yeah, these guys knew they weren't getting an order beyond these 6, which is something he's talked about, that UPN was going to guarantee 13 episodes on the air, which means you couldn't do what ABC did. So I only regret that decision because we would have had more of these, but I wonder, how different the show would have been. And they might have been a little bit more hands off, who knows? But I still love these episodes as we got them. This is definitely my second favorite one, though. And maybe it's because I know that people who are network executives would hate this. And I love that there's definitely some dissing at ABC. Like this episode has the reference to Sports Night. They're saying like, network wouldn't put a bad show on the air even if they owned it. And I think this has the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire as well.
2-hour edition. The 2-hour edition.
The 2-hour edition. Yeah. So look, all that stuff. I think this is fun. This is the wackiest one. It's a very fitting ending for, because ABC / it was Touchstone TV at the time. They owned the original characters. We were never going to get any more of this show as is. So I think it's a fun ending. It's a fun way to be like, oh, I enjoyed rewatching these. This 2 DVD set, by the way.
Yeah.
You need this on 2 DVDs for some reason.
And then, I mean, by process of elimination, number 1 is episode 4, a dissertation on the American justice system by people who have never been inside of a courtroom, let alone know anything about the law, but have seen way too many legal thrillers.
In the 4th episode of Clerks the Animated Series, we find the clerks being sued by Jay after he slips on something in the store and quickly becomes a parody of court dramas.
This episode, and it's not just because, I want to stress real quick, it is not just because of this crazy anime ending that I think
No.
is the most viral moment of Clerks.
You know what it's because? It's because black jury.
Black jury.
12 jury.
All
All
black.
black.
Like it's
black jury.
it is so this episode is so quotable in so many ways.
It's so good.
The way that they bring in all of these basketball players and they are just all depicted as the lamest dorks who are like so excited about like, oh man, we get to stay in this hotel for free. Like,
They gave us $5.
like, they're just so stoked about everything in this episode. The like legalese back and forth, the like multiple fake out waking up from dream jokes. Like, it is just good bit after good bit after good bit. You have the play on Judge Reinhold as Judge Reinhold, the honorable Judge Reinhold. You go into the crazy Beverly Hills Cop parody. Like, it is just checking every box. This is like the episode. ABC was not wrong to be like, this is the episode to sell this show to people on, because it is so stacked and so funny.
Yeah, I just don't know if people were looking for it sandwiched between two girls, a guy in a pizza place, and Dharma and Greg or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yes, I do agree. And probably the most, it's right up there with Nothing Can Kill the Grimace is who is driving? Oh, now Bear is driving is like,
oh my God,
because
Bear is driving. How can that be?
How can that be? Yeah. And it's like, this is the first episode that anybody got to see. So it's the one that's stuck with me the longest. It really is the best. I mean, they have all these NBA guest stars. They have Dan Patrick and Kenny Mayne from ESPN. The WNBA players crying. I was just like, I feel like, one of the animated shows I referenced would probably do that joke today if they could, but it was already done, Randall getting his money back for all these movies he didn't like, I thought was very funny. But starting with George Lucas, because this is not even a full year after the release of the Phantom Menace. So, so there's so much in here. I think you can tell like, they had done a few of these, because this one, all of these swings and sometimes misses from other episodes, I think really land. And this one is just, it's very tight. And they do realize that we don't really care what happens at the end of the story. And they can just say that, the script got lost. So the Korean studio gave us this, because it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It is everything that adult animation should and could be.
It also has like one of my like favorite lamer bits, which is a constant play on the beginning of Clerks, where Dante's waking up in the pile of clothes.
Yeah.
When he puts Randall in charge and Randall calls at 7:59, is like, I just wanted to let you know I'm here early. And he's like, cool, let me know if you need anything. And a minute later he calls back and there's like a gunshot and he's like, hello? Oh, hey, what's that noise? The TV. I'm gonna kill you. Who said that? Regis?
Yeah.
It's great. I agree. Yeah. So I can understand the one that you put ahead of this, Dylan, but this one just, I think on multiple levels and trying to be objectively, this is the best one. But look, I
also think that
circle
both
back.
of
By the way, I love the first episode too. I like
Yeah.
all of them, but we do have to rank them. And I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, I think that this one and the last episode also just kind of check all of the similar boxes of like the chaos and the craziness feel so much more controlled and honed in on those episodes, where even like the non sequiturs and the parodies like feel tied so tightly into the rest of the story, where like the outbreak one and the baseball one, like they do kind of feel like almost on that Family Guy level of like, hey, remember when this thing happened? Like it's not as like ingrained, where it's like these are both of these episodes that we put in 1 and 2 are, I would say, flawlessly scripted. Like there is nothing that I would change or shift in any bit about it, and that's why they're the top two. Unfortunately, we were promised so many continuations of this world. I remember at one point there was going to be a Clerks animated movie, which I think is basically what Clerks 3 became.
Yeah,
It
if you
was
read what the script was supposed to be for that, it is basically Clerks 3.
Yeah, it was like the clerks decide to pass the time by making a movie about what it's like being
Yeah.
a clerk or whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
which could have been fun. I think it works better as the live action movie. God bless this great show, guys.
Yeah, I
And
think one of the things that you and I, Matt, have talked about whenever we go off on our Kevin Smith tangents is this really allowed Kevin to shine in the fact that he had to come up with another way to be funny in
yeah,
his writing.
without leaning
Where it-
into the hard R jokes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wish someone would give him another opportunity to do that. Like
Yeah.
if somebody would just rein him in just a tiny bit in his ideas, cuz I feel like even the worst Kevin Smith movies, I can see like there's something weirdly interesting here
Yeah, they started
if
with a
we
good
didn't let him
point.
just lose his mind at some
Yeah.
points.
No, 100%. Well, to wrap up real quick, I would love each of you to let people who are viewing know where they can go to hear more of your opinions on pop culture over here on the Geekscape Network.
You can find me in many different incarnations here on the Geekscape network. If you're just catching up on Andor, we covered all 12 episodes in 4 big chunk episodes here, special episodes on Geekscape. And I do Marvel movie talk here, and I have my personal podcast, the Blattcast, BLADTCAST. And every once in a while, I turn up on Weird Algorithm, don't I, Matt?
Yes, you do. And how about you, Dylan? What do you got going on?
So what I've got going on, you can find some of my opinions on pop culture at iconversusicon.com, a site that I run with my buddy Jason. You can find me on the Geekscape podcast network, specifically on Christmas 365. You wouldn't realize it, but you can listen to a weekly Christmas podcast every single week of the year. And it is just as enjoyable. Don't worry. Sometimes we're not in the spirit either, but we'll get through it together.
All right, and we will be back on Geekscape with, I'm sure, some other great video essays coming soon. Thank you guys for doing this one, and we will
Thank
be back
you.
later with more pop culture conversations here on Geekscape TV.